Yeah, well, like creativity isn't everything, like even in consistent, like what I found is creativity a lot of time comes from structure.
I agree. I'm so glad you said
like
that.
You have those parameters and the structure, then within that you can be creative. But like if you don't have the structure, you're just aimlessly doing stuff. You're just where are you going? So like having a clear structure of understanding, okay, this morning I'm gonna, like when I was writing a Wizard Art series and outlining Legacy, I come in the morning, 7 a.m. and I'm there. I'm writing backstory from 7 to 12. Then I go pick up my kids, and then I come right back and I'm writing again. So like within that structure, my mind when I go to sleep is already like planning of what the next day is going to be, because I know, what it is I have to do. It's that consistency and structure thing too. Is like, people think like you're just kind of mulling along, and all of a sudden, aha! Like the show that we have on ESPN now called Detail, basketball, sports breakdown show. That came to me when I was walking around with my wife shopping. Yeah. And I look at a piece of fabric and I'm like, wow, this is really the detail. And this thing is, oh my, Detail. It's the name of the show. And then everything came from there. But I had been thinking about a show like that for like a year. Yeah. And I couldn't shake it loose. I'm like, what? I gotta find a sports show that I'm going to do, but can't just be basketball focused. Has to be broader. And I want to hear from the best minds in the world. I want to hear from Peyton Manning. I want to hear from what is it for like a year, and then all of a sudden, boom. And so people think it just comes out of nowhere. Yeah. You gotta like obsess over it for a while, and then it kind of pops loose.
Absolutely. Yeah. You had to plant the seed well before to see the fruit.
Yeah. And you gotta water it all the time, man. Like you gotta sit down and watch other shows that are out there, and like, and then ultimately you just find, like when the answer comes to you, it's like, my God, I could have thought of that on the first day. I remember John Williams told me that. He'll sit for like 2 months to try to figure out what the melody is. Yeah. And he'll just be playing. He'll be at his piano all day. He'll say the only day he'll take off is Sunday because his wife forces him to take Sundays off. And he'll just be sitting there writing. And then it just comes. Yeah. And he's like, I seriously could have thought of that on the first day. Like, why? It's just so simple.
Build around it.
What I try to do is shoot the idea down and figure out everything that's wrong with the idea.
Ooh, okay.
Right? This show won't work because, like Detail, for example, is like, this show won't work because it's not for fans. It's for the 1% athlete. Yeah. All right. Well, will it be successful? People connect to it? Like, you start unpacking every little thing. How will we shoot it? Can I even get Peyton Manning to do it? Could I get, And you start shooting them down. Same thing with the novels, like characters and plots and stories. Does this make any sense? No. Here's why. Pop, 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 pop. And I felt like that really helps me. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's just like the same thing for any great movie. You have to have the antagonist.
Yes.
A strong villainous character will really drive the narrative along. If you don't have that, you have nothing from which your hero has to bounce off of. That villain could be, maleficent. It could be something inside of you. It could be whatever, but you have to have that clear antagonist that's driving the narrative forward. And so in this sense, it's the same thing. You pick apart the negative, and from that, you can then move forward.
Story.
Yeah, obsessiveness just comes from something that you love. Like, you really love it. You'll go through fire for it. You'll go through the ups and downs with it, and you'll just keep at it because you love it so much, And the story for me started a long time ago. I had a great English teacher at Lower Merion High School named Jane Mastriano, and she explained to me the art of storytelling my sophomore year. And that's where I started falling in love with it and understanding story structure, how to develop compelling characters, and how stories are the driving force, whether they're inspirational or informational, that really change society. Comes full circle.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool feeling, man. Like growing up, when I was in high school, man, I didn't read much at all.
Yeah.
Because basketball was my thing. Now, if you give me a basketball book, or like a sports book, or like a sports psych book, I'm devouring that. You know what I mean? Because it was a clear focus for me, which kind of gets me into this market a little bit too. Because like for our active children that love being outdoors and playing all the time, they're not reading.
No.
But they're missing out on so much by not reading. But they will read if there's something that they feel like speaks to them.
So true.
You know? And so now I think we get more readers in the world because of it, hopefully.
That's so true. No, I think so. I agree with you. Like for me, and this is why everyone's different, and I think there's such a need for what you're doing, because when I was growing up, I never enjoyed fiction. And so I thought I didn't like reading because all the books that the school suggested were fiction books.
Right.
And then when I was 14, my dad handed me an autobiography and a biography. And I devoured it. And then I started reading because I was like, I want to hear about real people who break and who develop and who learn and grow and like have been through failure. And like, I want to hear about rags to riches. And I want to hear about real people who went through real pain.
That's right.
But I grew up believing that I didn't like reading.
Right.
And I think you're so right. I think there's a lot of kids out there who think they don't like reading or they think reading is boring.
It's a problem because like what I found in the industry, which is why we publish, because a lot of publishers want to publish the same type of story, you know, the same type of plots, same looking characters, not a lot of diverse characters out there at all. And so we said, you know what, we're gonna have to do this on our own. This way we don't have anybody in our way telling us what the market wants to hear. I don't care about that. We write stories that come from the heart, and our characters are gonna look like my daughters, because my daughters don't have characters out there that look like them.
It's a great point.
So they're gonna look like my kids, and we're gonna go from there.
Yeah, I think what you've just raised there about diversity and representation is huge.
Oh, it's huge, man.
Huge.
Because I don't see it, man. And like, you know, books is just the first thing. Publishing is the first thing. Now, if we look at animation is even worse. It's even worse, you know, in terms of developing characters, diverse characters. But even beyond that, the animators themselves, there's no diversity in that industry.
Right.
None. And I'm talking not just racial diversity, but gender diversity as well. And so there are a lot of things that we need to take on, that we are taking on, and hope to make the world and the industry a better place because of it.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with that. I'm a British Indian, right? Born and raised in London. Never seen any character that look like me anywhere.
Right, because they think, you know, the mass market, it's not going to appeal to the mass market, so we're not going to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, what? What?
Yeah, and everything's spreading so fast now, and everything's global now.
Yeah.
Right? Nearly all content is global now, and most global markets are growing everywhere. So the need for people, especially young people, being able to see themselves in characters. And it's not, and I think it's a deeper point that you're making, is you want to be able to see your story in someone.
Right.
Right? Even just beyond like color and background. It's like your story, your experience of life.
When we made Dear Basketball, we got a lot of pushback from people. Like, I took it to some very prominent studios at first, and they all said, yeah, no.